New York Times writer Paul Krugman went viral for being a moron. So he said the following. This was on the anniversary of 9/11. So it's 9/11. Hard to remember now how large the terrorist attack loomed in our national psyche. After all, in death toll, COVID-19 is already equivalent of 60 9/11s. But a few thoughts and recollections. This is the tweet right here that everybody lost it over. Overall, Americans took 9/11 pretty calmly. Notably, there wasn't a mass outbreak of anti-Muslim sentiment and violence, which could all too easily have happened. And while G.W. Bush was a terrible president, to his credit, he tried to calm prejudice, not feed it. Okay, there is so much to say about this, but right up front, let's get this out of the way. That is empirically false, verifiably untrue. Everything there is just wrong. And this is something in the same way that there was an Obama derangement syndrome, where Republicans just hated Obama, didn't matter what he did. It didn't matter that Obama was basically a Republican president, moderate Republican president, they still hated him. He did their healthcare plan. It was Mitt Romney's plan. It was the Heritage Foundation's plan. It was Newt Gingrich's plan, Chuck Grassley. He did their healthcare plan and they still hate him. And they lied and called it socialized medicine. This is the same. This is Trump derangement syndrome. It's when you hate Trump so much, and that's such a defining feature of your ideology, that you even go as far as to whitewash the crimes and of previous Republican presidents, and even become an apologist in many ways. This is Trump derangement syndrome. George W. Bush was just as bad, if not worse, than Trump. Probably worse. Much bigger death toll. But now that's overlooked, and now he says stuff like this. So, first of all, even the idea that, we didn't have an anti-Muslim sentiment that came out from this. Have you spoken to any Muslim who lived in the United States post 9/11? Any of them? Do you know any of them? Have you talked to any of them? Because they'll tell you, oh my God, life was a living hell for them. What happened in New York City alone? They were spying on all the mosques. They were spying on all of them and infiltrating them and treating them like, terrorist recruitment centers. And guess what? These programs found no evidence of any wrongdoing. But there was spying happening on the Muslim community throughout the country, definitely in New York City for sure. We had the hearing, remember the Peter King with the hearings on Muslim Americans and terrorism. There was an increase in hate crimes. By the way, not even just an increase in hate crimes of Muslims, but it was also Sikhs, Hindus, anybody who's like brown and somewhat religious. Go talk to those people. They'll tell you. By the way, remember there was the Sikh temple shooting that happened. This was way after 9/11, but yes, this was tied to that kind of bigotry, to that otherizing. So that's just, and this is just non-state sanctioned violence. And it's bad, and there was an increase in it, of course. Look what they even about Ilhan Omar today, the signs we were supposed to never forget, looks like we've forgotten. With like a picture of the Twin Towers coming down and Ilhan Omar there, as if just because she's Muslim, she's somehow responsible for Osama bin Laden or Al-Qaeda. I mean, this is the mindset. This is the mindset. But okay, put aside, the non-state sanctioned violence. Look at the state sanctioned violence. As a direct response to 9/11, we waged a war on Afghanistan. We waged a war on Iraq. We tried to connect Saddam Hussein to Al-Qaeda. There was no connection. They made the BS argument. They lied us into war, and we're still in Iraq and Afghanistan to this day. To this day, we're still there. How can you say, overall, Americans took 9/11 pretty calmly? There wasn't a mass outbreak of anti-Muslim sentiment and violence, which all too easily could have happened. There's minimum 200,000 innocent Iraqi civilians dead. Minimum. And I haven't even brought up the elephant in the room, which is torture. They ordered torture, guys. They ordered torture after 9/11. It was literally from a communist Chinese manifesto on how to torture. We killed Japanese soldiers who tortured our troops in World War II. We gave them the death penalty. We said this is a violation of international law. You can't torture people. This is unacceptable. We tortured. I'm going to read it again. Overall, Americans took 9/11 pretty calmly. Notably, there wasn't an outbreak of anti-Muslim sentiment and violence, which could all too easily have happened. And while G.W. Bush was a terrible president, to his credit, he tried to calm prejudice, not feed it. CIA black sites, torture sites, drone strikes that killed innocent civilians, locking people up at Guantanamo Bay, having no evidence of any wrongdoing. You know how a lot of the people got there? This is crazy. A lot of people don't know the backstory here, but I'm such a political nerd that I read the articles that came out on this when they came out. The United States cut a deal with warlords in Afghanistan and said, hey, we were attacked on 9/11. We got to get these people back. Anytime you come across, Al-Qaeda operatives, send them to us and you'll get a reward. And what happened? Afghanistan warlords did not, have due process and look with a fine-tooth comb for who's Al-Qaeda and who's not. They rounded up all their enemies and they shipped them to the United States. That's what happened. And they ended up in Guantanamo Bay. This is how we got stories of, like, that guy Marat Kurnaz, who was a German citizen who was locked up at Guantanamo Bay, totally innocent. Didn't do anything wrong. He was there for years. This is why you need due process. And he's saying, he tried to calm the prejudice. Our Americans' reaction to 9/11 was pretty calm. We waged illegal and offensive wars against countries that didn't attack us. We're still there to this day. We're still bombing 8 different countries to this day. See, this is what happens when you're a wealthy, comfortable elitist. His thing, he talks more about economics. But, see what happens when he steps just a little bit outside of his field? He's got, protected old white guy syndrome. Comfy old white guy syndrome. He didn't experience any of these things. He didn't go to the Iraq War. He didn't go to Afghanistan. He doesn't know people who went. He doesn't have friends who are Muslim who were spied on throughout these years. People who were harassed by cops. He doesn't know any of it. So in his little bubble, he thinks, well, George W. Bush went out there and gave a speech and said, Muslims are our brothers and sisters. This is a perversion of the message of Islam. Islam is a religion of peace. So we're not at war with Muslims. We're only at war with Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. He heard a speech with some flowery words and he was like, see, serious guy here. Pretty calm. There's not a mass outbreak of anti-Muslim violence. Just a few wars. Just a few illegal and offensive wars that killed hundreds of thousands of civilians. Just some torture. We tortured some folks, as Obama would have said. And this is, just so everybody understands, this is the pundit class. This is the pundit class in the United States of America. If you think he's the only one with blind spots, Jesus. They're all like this. All of them are like this. This is the kind of viewpoint and mindset you get among elite academics in the U.S. And honestly, it's just, there's no other way to say it. It's stupid and ignorant. And he's a joke. And by the way, he came out after this, after seeing the backlash, and doubled down. He doubled down. He was like, I looked at the statistics from the FBI, and they claim that even though there was a slight increase in hate crimes against Muslims, it really was negligible. And so my broader point stands. Okay. That response does what? Ignores all of the state-sanctioned violence. If the government's spying on Muslims, You think they're going to include that in their hate crime statistics? We ourselves are guilty of it because we were spying on all Muslims after 9/11, thinking that they were all enemies to the United States. Are they going to include that in their data? No. So, and you're not even going to address the broader point, which is to say Americans reacted calmly when we waged illegal wars on countries that didn't attack us, and we're still there to this day, and we ordered torture. He didn't touch the torture. He didn't touch the illegal wars. He only brought up the hate crime statistics. And even that, he's using the worst source imaginable from the people who perpetuated a lot of this stuff. Paul, go away. Please, go away. You have no idea what you're saying, and it's sad.